I've been a builder for 30 years, and I got to tell you, for a long time, I really neglected my health in favor of making sure my business, my baby, was healthy. On this video, Travis Brungard, one of our longtime contributors, is really going to break this down for specifically builders, health and wellness for you guys. With that being said, this is one of Travis's most popular videos on thebuildshow.com, but this is our best of right here. Let's get going.
I'm Travis Brungard. I am in Waldo, a neighborhood in Kansas City, Missouri, with my good friend Jennifer Shelton. And we are not out on the trolley trail because I'm just not as tough as I used to be. And so we're not going to work out in the rain. But ordinarily when I see you, it's for a Thursday run or a Friday morning yoga, which I haven't been as consistent with as I should be. But let's introduce Jennifer. What do you do? Why do I know you?
In a nutshell, I help people become healthier, meet their health and fitness goals. And that's different for everyone. And it includes, types of workouts as well as, maybe a little bit of advice on nutrition, stress management, everything that involves somebody becoming healthier.
You definitely do that well. And I appreciate that about you because I really wanted to introduce you and the things that you've taught me to my other builder friends out there and people that I don't know who are just starting out or who are, like me, getting a little older and maybe transitioning from not wearing bags 10 hours a day to sitting in an office chair 6 hours a day. And why does my hip hurt? So you've been really helpful for me, and I want to have other people be able to take that leap ahead instead of waiting until they're injured, waiting until they're fat and miserable. Because that's really when you and I started working together. I was 7 years married and it's like, oh, I've put on about 25 pounds. That's not great. And you kind of revitalized my career because I'd been working for a small remodeling firm, and I think we laid like 5,000 square feet of tile in the last year that I worked there. My knees were shot and my back hurt, and I was like, I got to get a different career. I moved into project management, but before I did that, I had the good fortune of meeting you through my wife's boss at the time, who was the fittest guy that I knew. He was in his 60s then, I think, because I was in my 20s. He's always going to be about 40 years older than I am. That's how math works, right? Passage of time. But Tom was incredibly fit. And I asked him one time, what's your gym routine? He's like, I don't waste my time with that. I just go to yoga. And he took me to your class, and it changed my life because it brought me back from not being able to enjoy my work and frankly, not being visually appealing enough for my tastes. I like to think my wife would have stayed with me anyway, but that's not on her, that's on me. So what's your day-to-day routine look like for most of your clients? Because you have a very diverse background. You're a yoga instructor. That's how I mostly worked with you in the past. But then I really did ask you to, how do I shed these 25 pounds? So you help with diet and all that. Talk about what you do.
What I do every day is different, depends on the client. I have some clients that I see 3 or 4 times a week because if I do not show up, they do not work out. And others I put on a program. Here's what you need to do. Here's your daily or weekly, depends on what type of flexibility we need to build for them. And sometimes I'm riding a bike with a client because they struggle getting their cardio in. Other times it's resistance training because that's the portion that they do not like and they need help with. Always at some level of stretching. Yoga helps with cardiovascular strength and flexibility. You don't have to call it yoga. If you don't like yoga, don't call it that. Just make sure you get in your strength training, your cardiovascular, and your flexibility. That's what most people, when we're younger, we don't realize it. We can get by with it, right? We can get by with not stretching, but we can't the older we get. And more importantly then is the balance. We don't think about it when we're younger, but we have to add some level of balance, especially in the building industry. You guys it's so easy to get off balance. We're always doing something more with our right hand or leaning, so things get out of balance. So it is really about how do we build strength and balance and flexibility.
One of the aspects that was most critical for me after you kind of taught me how to move properly again was I didn't realize the tremendous stress reduction that I got from a yoga practice. And it doesn't have to be yoga, meditation, just quiet time, whatever it is for you, but do have something in your life that allows you to have some peace. And just focusing on my breath for an hour, moving through a series of stretches with you, it was the most rested that I had felt in many, many years. And the stress of running a business now, that's incredibly important for me. So I really credit you with sort of my longevity and health, as well as correcting some of my terrible postures, which standing here I have to be like, oh, I got to roll my shoulders back because Jennifer's going to tell me that I'm hunched forward all the time. But that's really been a big thing for me. And I think if we look at what a typical builder's career is, you start in the trades with your bags on and you're banging around doing the work that you need. You're reaching too far. As you said, you're leaning to one side all the time. I'm left-handed, so I only hammer left. You do it. You really create some problems that will derail your career and shorten your enjoyment of it. So having someone that you can see regularly, like Jennifer is for me, to kind of check in with, even though I haven't been, as I said, very consistent with my yoga, I do still see you every Thursday and we run. And if I say, oh, my hip's really killing me, you're like, well, didn't you just get a new truck? Are you sitting different? How's your office chair set up? Like that all matters. And even recently we talked about sleep. You want to talk about sleep for a minute?
It is the most undervalued thing in our life. And we've gone actually the reverse, where people, they take pride and they like to brag how little sleep they can get. That's not good for us. I can live off of 4 hours of sleep. You can live off that. It doesn't mean you should. So sleep is so much more important than what we realize. And I'm always asking. And it's another thing that it's one of many things that I want people to look at and track in their life.
That's been key. The other thing that I was thinking about was hydration. I know that most guys that are working on roofs or framing houses, they're smart. They're bringing water now. It's not like it was when I was younger. It was like, if you drink a lot, you got to take more breaks for other things. But that's another thing that, especially as we get through the end of summer, I'm thinking about, gosh, I really got to remember to bring a gallon, even though it's wintertime, because I know I'm going to get 2 coffees. So I got to offset that. So sleep, hydration, and then the main thing, and it's an echo in my head, even when we're not together, I hear you saying, some is better than none, about stretching, about even a little bit of cardio, whatever it is. If someone doesn't have a routine in their life where, I get up in the morning and I stretch for 5 minutes, or, I like the sun salutation that you taught me from yoga, that's a really basic stretch that I think anyone can learn to do, or a series of stretches. I shouldn't be explaining this. You should be explaining this. Will you explain a sun salutation and how just one series of stretches might be enough to set your day on a good trajectory?
A simple sun salutation doesn't even have to be that. It can be a series of 5 to 10 movements that I create for somebody, specifically for the areas that they need to loosen up every morning. I do that all the time. I create 10-minute videos for people, or 30-minute videos for something that somebody can do daily. And just the movement, not only the extension of the arm gets the stretch, but the movement in the body generates blood flow and energy, and your fluid is able to move throughout your body, which is very healing in itself. So yes, even 5-10 minutes here and there, it all adds up and it all makes a difference.
I think that's a big deal. I really do. I think if you don't have a Jennifer Shelton in your life now, find a routine that you like, read a magazine, but do something, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself bound up and uncomfortable and thinking you have to make a career change, and you don't. You just have to start taking care of the most important tools that you have, your body and your mind. So I know if you're in the Kansas City area, Jennifer Shelton Balance is your website, but you have an app. So people, like, I can check in with you even if I'm traveling, which I'm doing more than I used to. And you will kind of keep tabs on me if I'm not logging my stuff right.
Exactly.
How do people get involved with that?
The app is titled My Gym Balance because it's all about balance again. And after being in the industry for over 25 years, there's a lot of information out there and it's so overwhelming. And although every individual is different, there are certain things, there's a list of things that if we can track and kind of manage but not micromanage, that's the key. I'm not a firm believer in micromanaging, but if we can manage those things, then people become healthier. It's water intake. It's focusing on what you should get in, like your vegetables, instead of what you shouldn't eat. It's getting your quiet or meditation time in. It's getting a certain number of workouts based on your lifestyle. And the cool thing about my gym app is I'm your virtual trainer. Like there's some customization to it, but it's also every month you are required to check in with me. It's all about accountability. And if you don't check in, then you're going to hear from me. And I like to tell people, you usually want to check in before you have to hear from me. So it's most people are finding it extremely helpful, and it's a low key, low dollar amount way to manage your health and stay accountable.
So Jennifer, this is pretty typical of the end of our time together.
Yes.
Because I have my coffee in hand.
Yes.
And usually, to be honest, I'm sitting. We do sit down after our Thursday runs.
But we run first.
That's right.
So.
Or if Jessica's not there, sometimes I ask you if we can just do a parking lot workout, because my mileage has come way down in the last few years.
Which still works and is still extremely beneficial. We need that balance of cardiovascular strength and flexibility. So
all aspects are important.
yes.
I think it's probably worth noting that I ran my first marathon with you. Actually, it was on your Mother Road. You were running a 100-miler, and I was just crew. So I ran my first marathon with you. Then you trained me to run triathlon. And then, or no, that's out of order. Then I did ultra. We did Brew to Brew. There's a great event in the Kansas City area where you run from the Boulevard Brewery to Free State Brewery in Lawrence. And that's sometimes done with teams, but you're an ultra athlete, so you run it on your own. Yeah, well, both of us used to be. So we've done stuff like that together. So that's an important aspect of what you do too, is it's basically you're helping people reach their goals.
Absolutely.
And for me, that included some advice on diet, certainly a training schedule that does include rest, because tapering is important.
Yes.
But you do the same thing for people that are talking about just having more mobility. And you have some clients that are much, much older even than me. Hard to believe, right?
All the stuff that it still holds true for your lifestyle now, like rest days are just as important, right? Builders need to hear that, right? They need to, rest days are just as important. Downtime is just as important. Again, those build moments are just as important as those time off moments.
Gotcha. So if we were to leave people with, one or two things that they should really focus on, or maybe three, think about 20 years ago, Travis, like, I'm getting heavier. I can't do my job the way I wanted to. What advice would you have for that person?
Here's some of the biggest takeaway. Your workout, your health and fitness routine works until it no longer does. So that's one of the misconceptions that people have. And same with your building, right? Things change as, things progress, especially the sustainability that you guys do.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of people get frustrated. They're like, well, I used to always do this workout. I used to always eat this way, and it no longer works. Right. Well, it no longer works because our bodies change as we get older. So we always need to be changing what we do, how we work out. And many times we can get by when we're in our 20s, we can get by with less stretching time.
Right.
And now we can't do that. So we have to build in more stretching or yoga. Again, if you don't want to call it yoga, don't call it yoga, but stretch. You have to change the way you change your cardiovascular and your strength and your flexibility program and balance.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. We've talked a lot about yoga, and you said we don't have to call it yoga. I always like to make the designation when I tell people that I do yoga. I always say, no gongs, no incense.
Okay.
Like, it really, for me, I perceive it as you addressing it as you would for athletes. Like, you're not saying, yeah, you're using ancient Sanskrit words. I get it. And once you learn that vocabulary, it's super easy. But you're definitely approaching it from a work through this part of your body, find the stretch, breathe through this. You're giving me athletic cues that are reasonable for me to understand, and not an Eastern philosophy that I can't capture, and I'm trying to get my workout in, and why are you confusing me?
Yes, I mean, I could obviously talk forever about the 8 limbs of yoga and go into that side more often, but
Right.
it still is a physical practice and we still get the physical benefit from it. And I always tell people that's typically the first reason why people come to yoga is because of the physical aspect. All the other parts of yoga ends up seeping in, just
Right.
like you do feel much calmer and you're able to sleep better. You have all these other side effects, but we do start with the physical aspect of it.
Perfect. Well, I feel like I would be doing my fellow builders a disservice if we didn't at least show them how to do a few things. So do you want to, here we've got my nice beautiful house here in the background. Jennifer, let's do a quick sun salutation here or something that
Sure.
would give our people the idea of what they would expect if they were to log on to the My Gym app,
Right.
a quick stretching routine that they might do before they hit the job site in the morning.
Well, if you don't want to get down on the ground because it's raining, I always tell people too, like if it's muddy, there's plenty of things that you can do. In fact, we can work on stretching out your hips and your glutes
Okay,
and work on your balance at the same time.
let's do it.
So if you plant one foot, cross the other ankle above the knee,
Okay.
and then with a flat back, send those hips back and down. You can even use this other hand to push this knee down. You can decide how much of a stretch you want. Somebody
long
needs
did
to
you
work
think
on
that
their
was gonna
balance,
last?
right? Right? But it's a matter of sending the hips back rather than the knee forward. You want to keep the knee over the ankle, send the hips back and down just until you feel that stretch in your left glute. This is great. I'm loving this.
I bet you are. And this is
As I lose my balance.
realism in journalism right here, because my right knee is kind of junky.
You could do the other one.
That's why I
that's
switched.
Oh, yeah,
See how
yeah.
much better I am
Yeah,
now?
you're right. Okay, that's good. And then, of course, a great one for people that use their upper body a lot is hands behind, clasp the fingers, interlace them, pull these shoulders back, and straighten the arms. With soft elbows, as long as they stay soft, then you can lift as far as you can. But yeah, that's always another great one to open up the chest and the shoulders.
What's the eagle arms?
arms
Is the
is
one that you
great
always
as
did
well.
for me.
Right elbow underneath the left, thumbs facing you, palms together, slide the shoulders back and down, rib cage in, pull the palms away from you
Always.
and up. Preferably with a relaxed face as well, but whatever works for you.
There we go.
You can kind of slide them up and down. Sometimes that sliding motion helps kind of loosen up the mid and upper back. And sometimes it just feels good to kind of up and hold. Of course, like everything else, if you're going to do one side, then you want to open up, do the other. Left elbow underneath the right. Thumbs are going to have a tendency to go to the right. Keep them towards your face. Slide the shoulders back and down and lift them up and away. Again, or you can play around, moving them up and down.
I think this is the most feel good or hurt so good kind of stretch.
Yeah.
Because I am hunched over my keyboard more than I ought to be, but I also still wear my bags and work overhead and swing a hammer and pull a drill. And so
It's a great one. And this doesn't take any time. Like you can
No.
stop in the middle of the day if you
you can do that at your desk.
You
I
can
have done this
yes.
at my desk.
You can do this at your desk. You can do it at the job site. You can
Yep.
take 5 seconds
Yep.
to do this.
So we just added a new guy on our crew, Brent Crawford. You're going to like him a lot because we do occasionally work at your place. Your yoga studio, I think I helped with the floor with way
Yes,
back when.
yes,
and we
you
built
did.
the locker room
Thank
down there. Thank you. So we just added Brent, and Brent doesn't take lunch. He does stretching. He's a
that's
fellow
awesome.
yogi. So I'll come back from lunch and he's,
That's awesome.
it's I think something that we're going to see more and more common in my industry is people taking better care of themselves. And I'm really grateful for the impact that you've had in my life and for you coming to join me on a rainy day outside my job site.
I love the rain.
I've done many rain
you
workouts
do
with
not.
you. I'm a little soft. Jennifer's the tough one.
All right, guys, if you're not familiar with Travis Brungard, he's Catalyst built out in Kansas City, Missouri. He's been shooting videos for us for several years now on thebuildshow.com. I'll have a link in the description to Travis's bio and all his videos. You should also follow him on his Instagram feed. He's an amazing guy who's really dedicated to elevating the industry. He's also really passionate about encouraging young people to get into the trades. I don't know if you knew it from the video, but he actually holds a master electrical license and a master HVAC license. He's a really smart dude and he really cares about you and making sure that we as a team are getting better and better. I love this video. I hope that you'll go check out his future videos on thebuildshow.com. With that being said, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.